Good evening, everybody. Before we get going, I'll ask everyone to please silence cell phones and other electronic devices, and I'll do the very same. I'll call this meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. by recognizing the traditional keepers of this land and specifically our neighbors of the Alderville First Nation with a formal territorial acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that the municipality of Brighton is located on the Mississauga and Anishinaabe territory and is the traditional territory of the Mississauga. The Council of the Municipality of Brighton respectfully acknowledges that the Mississauga Nations are the collective stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. Our first motion is a motion to amend the agenda moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Butwell, that the March 27th, 2023 closed session agenda be amended to add subsection 239(2)B, discussion about personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, specifically the extension of director in charge position. Is there any discussion? Those in favor? Being none opposed, that motion's carried. And a motion moved by Councillor Rowley, seconded by Councillor Wheeldon, that Council approve the March 27th, 2023 agenda as amended. Is there any discussion? Those in favor? Being none opposed, that motion's carried. Members of Council, are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? And if so, please state the general nature thereof. Councillor Wright.
I have declared pecuniary interest with the Chamber delegation today.
And the general nature?
I am a member.
Thank you. Councillor Butwell.
Exact same as Councillor
Right.
Forget your last name. I'm a member of the chamber and they are here in delegation. I additionally have, with respect to discussion on budget items, I have consulted with the Integrity Commissioner, and I'd like to say that the organization Gift from the Heart Charity is my tenant, and as such, I am declaring an interest and will not be participating in the budget discussion before council.
Very well, thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Wheeldon.
Just because I've declared it in the past, no longer a member of the chamber, no interest.
Thank you. Anyone else? Are there any announcements this evening? Moving right along, we'll move to the adoption of the minutes. Moved by Councillor Butwell, seconded by Councillor Anderson, that Council adopt the March 6, 2023 Council meeting minutes as presented. Is there any discussion? Those in favor? There being none opposed, that motion's carried. And it's moved by Councillor Wheeldon, seconded by Councillor Rowley, that the special council meeting that yeah, it's okay. That Council adopt the March 9th, 2023 special council meeting minutes as presented. Is there any discussion? Those in favor? There being none opposed, that motion's carried. And a motion moved by Councillor Wright, seconded by Councillor Fredis, that Council adopt the March 20th, 2023 planning meeting minutes as presented. Is there any discussion? Those in favor? There being none opposed, that motion's carried. That brings us to our public meeting this evening. The purpose of our public meeting is to address requirements under the Municipal Act for hosting a public meeting before council makes a decision on budget estimates and to obtain public input toward making any decision on the draft budget. Director Whitfield, would you please provide us with your presentation of the draft 2023 budget?
Thank you, Mayor Ostrander, members of council. I'll just wait for Jess to get this up and running. Thank you. Jessica, next slide, please. So the budget process is legislated under the Municipal Act, Section 290. And the process that we follow was adopted by Council on June 21st, 2021. The first draft was presented to the Committee of the Whole later than normal this year. That's not correct. It wasn't January 4th. We had a special meeting that evening related to development charges, and we actually had the first draft then presented on January 11th. We were late in starting the process this year simply because of the election and having new members go through their orientation before we started this process. Next meetings were held on January 17th and 30th, and then on February 8th. And deliberations continued on the capital budget. And then we went into the internal budget and external requests. On February 15th and the 27th, the Committee of the Whole deliberated on the second draft budget, and all budget meetings were held here in council chambers. They were also live streamed on Brighton's YouTube channel, and public consultation opportunities were provided at each budget meeting through citizens' comments and question period. So the agenda tonight, we're going to look at the impact to the taxpayers for the 2023 budget. We're also going to look at some changes from last year's budget and what our pressures were when we were developing this budget. Where do your taxes go? That'll show you perhaps where we send the money that we don't keep in the community, and when we do keep it in the community, which departments are spending the most money and why. We'll also look at local municipal comparisons in Northumberland County, but that'll be based on the 2022 tax rates. And then there will be some budget highlights. So property assessments have been frozen for a few years now, and they will remain frozen for the 2023 tax year. They are based on the 2016 property valuation. The county has passed its 2023 budget at 6% tax increase, and the province has announced that education rates will remain the same as the prior year. So the municipal lower tier portion, that's Brighton's taxes, will increase by 7.25%. And in 2023, the blended tax rate will be 5.92%. So the total expenditures for 2023 are $33,685,375. Environmental Services has the most expenditures at just under 10.2 million, and Public Works is next at 9.3 million. Total operating expenditures are $18,219,145. Public Works makes up 24.67% of the budget. Water and wastewater expenditures, which are funded by user fees, not by tax rate, represent 20.19% of the total operating expenditures. The 2020 capital expenditures are $15,466,230. Again, water and wastewater are funded by user fee and make up 41.92% of the capital expenditures. Public Works is next at 30.91% of the capital expenditures, and that's mainly for roads. So thank you, Alan. The user rate supported budget change is illustrated in this slide, and you can see that the operating budget for water is increasing, and that is due to increases in utilities, fuel, insurance, engineering and consulting, and for maintenance on a pressure reducing valve, which is probably the largest increase in your operating budget. The water capital budget is it includes the upgrades that will be completed on Loyalist Drive, Applewood Drive, and on Main Street from Ontario to our boundary with Cramahe. And Main Street will be funded in part by the Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program Green Infrastructure Stream. Engineering for the reconstruction of Prince Edward Street will be undertaken with in partnership with the county, and also included is a water and wastewater rates study. And that's required under the Safe Water Drinking Act, OREG 45307. Additionally, an EA will be undertaken to determine increased water capacity, and the bulk water station will be moved. So the water department is also going to purchase a skid steer. The operating budget is increasing for wastewater due to staffing complement, fuel, insurance, and utilities. There's an increase in maintenance due to the inflow and infiltration program. We call it an I&I program. And we've been doing that for a number of years in the community. And it's benefiting the community because it's providing us with more capacity at the wastewater plant as we find infiltration in our mains. Engineering design of the wastewater plant upgrades and pumping station will continue. And the underground infrastructure upgrades will be completed on Loyalist and Applewood. And engineering for the reconstruction of Prince Edward Street, again, in partnership with Northumberland County, will be undertaken. So this shows, illustrates the tax supported budget change. The total tax support budget is increasing by $501,713. The capital budget portion is a decrease of $470,589. And just to be clear, we're talking about expenditure wise, not the amount of money that the tax support portion levy is going toward funding of that. So we'll be talking about it in two different ways. And I just wanted to be clear that that was the expenditure increase or decrease. The operating budget is increasing by $972,303, mainly due to staffing complement changes, training, utilities, winter control, insurance, and fuel. And as we're all aware, many necessary supplies have been affected by the economic changes coming out of COVID, where we had that shortage with plants being down, and now it's just created a demand problem, and we're seeing that in almost everything that we do right now. Reserves will be used for capital projects and for studies and for major maintenance items. Grants include federal gas tax, Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund, and Ontario Municipal Partnership Fund. The reduction in the payment in lieu of taxes is showing a decrease, and that's because of the constant decrease that we're receiving from the federal government for the Warkworth Penitentiary. External borrowing is budgeted to increase, and that's due to the amounts being borrowed for the tanker pumper in the fire department and for land banking initiatives. The internal borrowing decrease is due to a reduction in vehicles and equipment being internally financed in 2023. Fees and charges are showing an increase, in part due to the short-term pop-up retail space, rental accommodation licensing, and the municipal accommodation tax. So the budget increase for 2023, as we've already said, is $982,964, and the tax increase is $763,296. So as illustrated, your budget increase is simply your increase from one year over the other. I should say your levy. Your levy increases. The increase from 2022 to 2023. But during any given year, the assessment base may change due to growth, positive or negative. Negative growth could occur if we had changes in use, like changes in assessment categories from residential to commercial, for example, or vice versa. Changes, demolitions, tax write-offs, assessment reductions. Those are the types of things that would create a negative growth. Brighton's had positive growth for as long as I can remember. And positive growth is attributable to things like new construction, additions, improvements, and changes in use, again, change in class. So if we look at the 2022 tax levy of $10,315,394, and we add our growth number, which is $219,668, we get a tax levy comparator. My screen says 2021, my apologies. It's 2022 comparator of $10,535,062. Any increase over that amount is a tax increase. So the $982,965 budget increase is equivalent to a 7.25% municipal tax increase. Of that increase, 0.64 is for capital spending, 0.98 represents the increases to external boards and agencies, and the increases to local service delivery contributes 5.42%. Again, the increase is due to the new organizational chart, sustainability initiatives, fuel and maintenance increases, storm sewer increases, and of course, winter control increases. So this slide just illustrates the increases in operating and capital by department. Parks and Rec is contributing the largest tax increase, followed by general government. So where do your taxes go? Of the taxes collected here in the municipality of Brighton, 40.6% of that money stays here to pay for our local services. The remaining 59.4% goes to the school boards, the county, the OPP, the Conservation Authority, and other external agencies. So what we want to see when we look at our challenges and trends is we like to see capital increasing. And we can see that we're doing that again. This is representative of your levy. This isn't represented by the budget increases, like your expenditures, but this is the actual levy. So capital is increasing again in 2023. Reserve contributions are decreasing. And in a good year, we'd like to see that increasing, but we had so many pressures this year that that wasn't possible. We'll have to look at that really closely next year and see that we're doing so again in increasing those contributions. And that just shows you how we get from our $10,315,394 levy last year to our $11,298,358 levy in 2023. This is the municipal tax comparison based on 2022 tax rates in Northumberland County. And Brighton has stayed about third from the bottom, third from the lowest tax rates. That doesn't make sense either. My apologies. The third lowest tax rates in the county for a number of years now. On a property assessed at $400,000, the taxes in Port Hope Urban were $6,505. That's on the high end. And Hamilton Township was $4,676. Brighton was $484 higher than that at $5,160. So now we're into the budget highlights. Some of the modernization projects that will be completed this year include a generator here at this building, self-contained breathing apparatus upgrade, SCBAs we call them, for the fire department. Asset management software project will continue, and there will be an upgrade to the PLC hardware and SCADA software, and that is the main computer system to run the water treatment plant. Accessibility projects include continuation of sidewalk repair and replacement, additional accessible door devices here at Alice Street, more efficient sidewalk plow, which will improve service delivery, a loading ramp at Memorial Park Stage, and washroom renovations at the King Edward Park pop-up building, subject to grant funding. When we look at service delivery enhancements, we are filling some staff vacancies. We will have for the first time this year, a pop-up retail at King Edward Park, reconstruct and resurface several roads, continue with stormwater master plan initiatives, complete the servicing to the industrial park. And I believe that that's mostly done now, but we will continue that upgrade. The pumping station upgrade, which started in 2022, will be completed in 2023. The water treatment plant upgrade design is underway. Bulk water station will be moving, and a location has been selected, and it will not be in our residential area anymore. The more efficient sidewalk plow is going to create some service delivery enhancements. The Hanson Road culvert replacement, the flood hazard improvement and mapping program in partnership with Lower Trent Conservation Authority, reconstruct the municipal parking lot west of Sobeys and add an electric vehicle charging stations, and add sustainability initiatives. So these are our two asphalt road reconstruction projects in 2023, and they're both in the industrial park. And they were underway through our engineering in the last year and a half. So they're ready now to designed and ready to go. And these are the roads that we will be surface treating or having one single surface treatment as an overlay. So Stony Point Road North, the Simpson Street, Old Wooler Road, Huff Road, Boundary Road, Old York Road, Oak Ridge Drive, Grandview Road, Twin Lane, Township Hall Road, Florence Road, Bond Road, Bullis Road, Hanson Road, they'll all receive just the overlay one layer. Carmen Road's going to have more of a base enhancement and then a double surface treatment. And same with Young Street, which is where it splits off with George, where Young and George meet and it turns that corner. The environmental services projects, I know I've talked a lot about these already, but engineering for the wastewater plant upgrade, pumping station upgrade, I&I projects, a new truck and a plow with a harness. Lagoon sediment removal, which is really important. Water and wastewater rate study, and also development charges study, which we're going to try to marry together and do it at one time. Engineering for the Prince Edward Street reconstruction and wastewater upgrades to Loyalist and Applewood. And with the water department, we're going to move that bulk water station. Again, the SCADA upgrades, the water and wastewater rate study, the EA for the increased water capacity, engineering for Prince Edward Street, and water upgrades for Main Street, Loyalist Drive, and Applewood Drive. These are some of our partners, boards and agencies in Brighton or that service Brighton. So as of course, the DBIA is an important part of Brighton's downtown area, and again, a partnership with them. Bay of Quinte Marketing, the Chamber of Commerce, Docks by the Bay, Lower Trent Conservation Authority, Quinte Transit, the library, cemeteries, and Quinte Economic Development. This is not an exhaustive list, but these are some of the organizations that will receive support from council in the 2023 budget. So thank you. Thank you to council for the budget process this year. It was a pleasure. It was really well communicated, and I want to thank you for that. It was a really easier process for staff this year. And I really want to thank the senior management team and their teams for all their contribution to the budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Whitfield. We appreciate your presentation, and my thanks to you on behalf of council and the senior staff team for bringing the budget to us in a way that made it difficult for us to find anywhere to cut. In fact, it was council who added to this budget over the period of our deliberations in order to increase our service delivery and provide the community with those things that this council heard over the course of an election period that our community needs and wants. So we really do appreciate staff's work to get us here, and my appreciation and thanks to Deputy Mayor Anderson for leading us through the budget process, and to council for coming along for the proverbial ride. It was it made for a good deliberation process, so we appreciate that. Thank you. Are there persons present who have questions or comments regarding the proposed 2023 budget? Please come forward to the microphone. And the clerk has put a little pad of paper there. If you could please print your name, first and last name, for the record. And Director Whitfield, can you help out with that microphone? Make sure it's on. There we go.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Could you draw the microphone closer to you? We have people on Zoom. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I just want to understand. I don't know if this is a balanced budget. I don't know if we're going into a deficit. I don't know if that is discussed in this forum.
The municipality is not permitted under the act to go into deficit. So we do balance our budget. Whatever we bring in, we budget to spend. And I'm looking to the director to make sure I'm not totally offside there.
No, you're absolutely correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for explaining that.
You're welcome. Kelly and Maureen, I'll get you to fill out your name on that little sheet in front of you there. I know who you are, but
Honorable Mayor and councillors, we're here representing rural Brighton. We're from Carmen Road, and we just have some concerns about the increase in the budget and how that affects us in rural Brighton and what benefit we might get from that. So we do live on Carmen Road, and I understand that Carmen is to go under some extensive work perhaps, and I bring some concerns to the table. I sat on the rural advisory for 2 years for this actual Brighton municipality, and some of the concerns that we raised were brushing, ditching, proper ditching and shouldering so that we don't have the degradation of that surface that we've all witnessed in most of our rural roads, where the water can't leave the paved surface and it tends to run down and degrade the paved surface or the reconditioned surface, if you will. So I would just ask that maybe some consideration. I know this, I'm talking to council where maybe staff is involved with this type of thing, but to be concerned that maybe the ditching is done so that we can, I want to refer to Waite Road and Little Lake Road that's been reconditioned twice now in a fairly short period of time, especially Waite. And it was to do with, my understanding was the underlaying parent material wasn't removed sufficiently when it was surfaced. So you've got quite a few roads that you've listed there to be just single surfaced. And in my experience with agricultural machinery and things on there, it tends to break down fairly quickly. And it costs a lot of money to replace or put that surface out there. So I just would like to bring everybody's attention to perhaps a little more undertaking through staff or however to get that so we're not replacing these roads so frequently or they're degrading so frequently. So that's some of our biggest concerns. But we've had the brusher on Carmen Road now. And I'd like you to just go for a drive if you have a chance and picture a piece of machinery that's 13 feet tall. That's the smallest, and drive on the shoulder what is there and look straight up, because there are several times that we encompass 6-inch diameter tree limbs right at eye level in our combines or sprayers or farm equipment. So I want to bring that awareness and that concern here. I know it's beyond the budget, but I just felt this was time maybe we could raise that at this council.
Well, and I think that's a really fair comment, Mr. Sharp, because the last council invested fairly significantly in equipment for our community to ensure that we could in fact help out with those brushing and ditching programs in the rural area more effectively. Now, we have our Director of Public Works here. I'm sure he's listening diligently, and I would expect that you would be able to reach out to Public Works and let them know if there's an area of concern specifically. And of
Mhm.
course, if you don't get the satisfaction you need, then you reach out to any or all of us here around this horseshoe, and Leslie's pretty used to hearing from us, so.
Okay, most honorably, like just an instance, Georgina Street, we do farm a fair bit of land in the Brighton municipality, and Georgina Street, I had to get on the opposite side with my equipment, which presents a lot of safety concerns, especially we find we move at night is most effective because of traffic. So those are just things I want maybe this council to be aware of, and if we can work to make it better, I think it would be better for everyone, and that's I thank everybody for their time here tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Sharp. We appreciate your comments. And I saw that Leslie was making some notes, so.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we have been on Carmen Street a couple of days ago, and there are some areas that we could improve on, so it's noted.
Okay.
And we're aware of it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you feel that, you want to go for a ride in a combine and just witness what we do, try and maneuver. And just another example, Blue Box Day is a bad day for a farmer with a piece of equipment, because you're trying to avoid a mailbox, stay on your side of the road, miss the branches that are going to take out your head. And there's just a lot of hazards out there. So thank you.
We can make it a date.
Perfect.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Are there any other persons present who have questions or comments with regard to the draft 2023 budget? Madam Clerk, it's only staff on Zoom. Is that correct? Are there questions or comments from members of council? Councilor Rowley.
Thank you, Mayor. Director Winterfield, we spoke and some with Lower Trent with their flood hazard improvement and mapping program. Last week, we heard from the CEO from Lower Trent, and their financial budget will be affected. Will this affect this program with our partnership with them?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I don't think it will affect it. No. Don't believe so. No.
Thank you. Anything further from members of council? Director Whitfield, do you have any final comments?
No, I do not.
Thank you. I have a motion moved by Councillor Fredis, seconded by Councillor Wright. The council received the comments from members of the public regarding the 2023 municipal budget. Is there any discussion? Those in favor? There being none opposed, that motion is carried.
You have a question?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Um,
I didn't move on yet.
Thank you. Just, we will be revisiting this budget yet one more time for approval, I believe, in April. Will there still be time for discussion then, or more questions?
I believe it is staff's intention to bring forward the budget bylaw and the tax rate bylaw next week.
Next week?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's certainly opportunity for discussion under the bylaw. But if it's the wish of council to defer that for further deliberations, well, we could do that next week, couldn't we? We could defer the whole thing if we wanted to.
Just that there's sometimes after evenings like this that we do get a question or two. So that just leaves opportunity for another week to maybe ask those, correct?
If we get a ton of feedback that requires further discussion, we can certainly bring that forward at the next council meeting and defer the budget for the purposes of further deliberation if we need to.
Okay, thank you very
You're
much.
welcome, Director.
I just wanted to point out that's why we don't bring the budget bylaw to the same meeting as the public meeting, because you need that opportunity to hear from the public.
Thank you. Moving on to presentations, we have a presentation from Meghan Fox, President or Attorney and Amy McQuaid, Board Member of the Brighton Cramahe Chamber of Commerce. Council will hear one presentation this evening. The presenters have 15 minutes to provide council with their information. It is noted that language, content, and conduct must remain respectful at all times. Council will be provided with an opportunity to ask questions of clarification from the presentation representatives. Based on the information they have presented, council is reminded that this is not an opportunity to engage in debate with the presenter nor advance a public policy decision. And presenters are reminded that council does not make decisions during the presentation portion of tonight's meeting. So welcome both of you, and you have the floor.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Hi, everybody. This is a beautiful presentation put together by my colleague here, Amy McQuaid. Do you want to take the first slide or would you like me to?
Well, I think first we have a few members. We just wanted to recognize in the audience that have come tonight as part of the presentation. So we have Chad Miller from Lofty Butter Company in Colburn, and we have Bev Woods from Gift from the Heart, Cheryl and Jason DeLorme from Special Effects. And then we also have Brighton Home Inspection, Zahid Al. I can't even read my own writing. I'm so sorry. Aloe Didi. Thank you. Sorry, my chicken scratch handwriting here. So we have those members here, and there are some members of our board and of the chamber that are watching this evening online. Okay, so did you want to take the first one?
Excellent. All right, so I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, what is the purpose of the chamber? So the chamber is a nonprofit, member-driven organization that's here to empower and engage our businesses to advance themselves. We offer different services and strategies. We reach out to the municipality of Brighton and the township of Cramahe. It's kind of a unique bond between the two places. We advocate with the government regarding legislation impacting the local area and economy, and we offer information on business and trade opportunities. We're also, looking ahead into building relationships with affiliate programs and the like. As a member of our chamber, businesses also become members of the broader Ontario Chamber of Commerce and the Canadian Chamber, which is always kind of a valuable resource to tap into. We just had a nice phone call with them.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, they're good people.
Yeah, it's amazing. So
Next slide, please.
and so who we are. So our first sort of value is that we empower business growth and success through various resources such as mentorship, training programs, industry connections, advocacy, and a focus on member success. We also engage a supportive ecosystem for businesses by promoting the community and collaborating through networking, partnership, diversity and inclusion, and resource access. And one of the things that we're doing right now as a board and as a chamber is we are evolving. We're evolving to help businesses adapt to the fast-paced world and post-COVID world and provide the latest industry insights and innovative strategies to help them grow. So the next slide, we just wanted to clarify what a service agreement was. We had heard at the last council meeting we were discussed, there was some confusion.
Yeah. So a service agreement is essentially, it's an agreement where we would both come into specific services to be provided by us, the chamber, in exchange for a fee, like any kind of contract agreement. This would help support you, the municipality, and provide services that currently are not offered. So this is a mutually beneficial exchange. It does save money for the municipality at large, and it offers a equitable transition of a service for a fee.
So one of the things that we really wanted to clarify, especially with our new board moving into the new year after our AGM, is our relationship with the town. So we're not a government agency or a Department of Economic Development. We are independent and we are separate. And while we work where we can collaboratively with the government and with the municipal government and economic development in both municipalities to support business communities, we maintain our autonomy and operate under our own governance structure.
Ultimately, again, a membership driven or a member driven organization, or, we've always got our members in mind. So we do want to ensure that there's an open invitation to the mayor or appropriate staff at the start of all of our meetings. You're more than welcome to join us for updates and to ask any questions, or, even approach us. We're very approachable. But unfortunately, we do not offer a seat at our board table. This does conflict with our bylaws. So we simply can't break that. We're committed to that, right? Upholding our bylaws and integrity to our bylaws, and following the best practices of our industry to ensure, integrity, like I said.
So moving forward, we just want to make sure, again, that we all understand around this table that we are an independent member-driven organization. From this point forward, we are prioritizing the interests of our members and our mission, and will only collaborate with the municipality when it aligns with those priorities and benefits our business communities as a whole. For this successful collaboration, it is essential for council to acknowledge tonight and honor our autonomy moving forward. And we hope that the municipality will accept and respect this clarified relationship as we facilitate a more effective and mutual beneficial relationship in the future.
Any questions?
Thank you both for your presentation. Questions or comments from members of council? Actually, these are just questions of clarification on the presentation. Councillor Rowley.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions. You spoke about fees for service, ladies. I don't have the documents before me that you presented before. Can you tell me, do you have the exact number of your request from the municipality for your fee for service?
Yeah, the exact number was 6,500.
6,500.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I have another question.
Go ahead.
May I ask?
Go ahead.
Your bylaws regarding not having a council representative at your board table. These are your bylaws. Are these common and consistent with all chambers or Chambers Ontario? Is this how you took them?
Yeah, we actually adopted them from adopted them maybe is the more correct term, from the Ontario Chamber bylaws at large.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Anyone else?
And we'd just like to clarify that we did not remove a council member from our board. We actually were just a new board, and we were reviewing our bylaws, and we realized that there wasn't actually a spot. So because there wasn't that institutional memory there was a courtesy spot that had been given that wasn't actually available. So when we removed it, it was not for any other reason other than for us to be able to follow our bylaws and to ensure the integrity of our organization. And we did at that time, when we had said to remove the council member from the appointment process, it was not to change or damage the relationship. It was to ensure the integrity of our organization moving forward, and to ensure that someone wasn't appointed to something that does not actually exist.
Thank you. Any further questions from members of council?
Make a comment to that before.
I
It's
prefer
just-
you not.
Okay, then, thank you. I won't make a comment.
I have a motion moved by Councillor Fredis, seconded by Councillor Anderson, Deputy Mayor Anderson. The council received the presentation from Meghan Fox, President, and Amy McQuaid, Board of Director of the Brighton and Cramahe Chamber of Commerce. Any discussion? Councillor Rowley, you were voting? All those in favor? There being none opposed, that motion's carried. Thank you both very much for your presentation.
Thank you for having us.
Madam Clerk, are there any citizens' comments this evening? And thank you. That brings us to staff reports. The first report is with regard to council administration policy. Deputy Clerk, we've read your report. Do you have anything to add or highlight?
It is committees of council administration policy.
Thank you.
Otherwise, no.
It's moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Butwell, that council receive the staff report, committees of council administration policy, and further that council adopt the attached committees of council administration policy, and further that council approve the attached terms of reference for each committee as updated in accordance with the committees of council administration policy. Is there any discussion? All in favor? There being none opposed, that motion's carried. The next report is the 2022 Accessible Vision and Goals Update. Deputy Clerk, we've read your report. Do you have anything to add or highlight?
No, I do not.
Have a motion moved by Councillor Rowley, seconded by Councillor Wielden. The council receives the 2022 Accessible Vision and Goals Update for information purposes. Is there any discussion? All in favor? There being none opposed, that motion's carried. Our next report is the 2022 Council and Committee Remuneration Report. Director Whitfield, we've read your report. Do you have anything to add or highlight?
No, I do not.
Thank you. I have a motion moved by Councillor Wielden, seconded by Councillor Rowley, that council receives the 2022 Council and Committee Remuneration Report as information. Is there any discussion? All in favor? There being none opposed, that motion's carried. Our next report is a four-way stop control measures intersection of Pinnacle Street North and Singleton Street. Director Whiteman, we've read your report. Do you have anything to add or highlight, sir?
No, I do not.
I have a motion moved by Councillor Wright, seconded by Councillor Fredis, that council receives the staff report dated 27th March 2023 regarding an encroachment agreement. No, that's wrong. Here we go. We're going to start again. I have a motion moved by Councillor Wright, seconded by Councillor Fredis, that council pass an amending bylaw to amend Schedule A of the traffic signal bylaw number 127/2019 that will have the effect of establishing a four-way stop control measure at the Pinnacle Street North and Singleton Street intersection, as well as sidewalk pads at the northeast and southwest corners of the intersection, and that council pass an amending bylaw to amend Schedule A of the Community Safety Zone bylaw 062/2015 that will have the effect of establishing a community safety zone that includes Pinnacle Street North and Dundas Street to Singleton Street. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? There being none opposed, that motion is carried. Our next report is with regard to an encroachment agreement. Mrs. Whiteman, we've read your report. Do you have anything to add or highlight?
Not at this point.
Thank you. I have a motion moved by Councillor Wright, seconded by Councillor Fredis, that council receives the staff report dated 27th March 2023 regarding an encroachment agreement that would permit an accessory structure within the municipal road allowance in front of 96 Bayshore Road. That council approve the encroachment agreement to be completed by staff in substantively the form as shown on attachment 1 for the signatures of the mayor and the clerk. And the council hereby enacts a bylaw to authorize the mayor and the deputy clerk to execute an agreement between the municipality of Brighton and the property owner, William Arthur Gow. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? There being none opposed, that motion is carried. Next report is with regard to the mobile canteen bylaw. Mr. McGee, we've read your report. Do you have anything to add or highlight, sir? I'm assuming Mr. McGee, it sounds like you're inhaling helium, which is very amusing but hardly effective for communication purposes. So I'm assuming he said he does not have anything to add or highlight. No, we're not. He's not here for our amusement. So, Mr. McGee, put your thumb up if you have nothing to add or highlight at this point. Don't know. Can you hear us, Alan? He is muted. Director Walsh, as the reviewer of said report, do you have anything to add or highlight, sir?
There's nothing further to add, and just if there's any specific questions further, we have Ben Hagerman, the manager of economic development, who's taking the lead on the pop-up project.
Perfect, thank you. I have a motion moved by Councillor Wielden, seconded by Councillor Rowley. The council receives the staff report dated March 27th, 2023, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 028-2021, a bylaw to license, regulate, and govern mobile camera. And Mr. McGee, how are you? Can you hear us? And the council approves the execution of the amending bylaw 000-2023 and further allows 2 mobile canteens on King Edward Park for 2023. And further, the council directs staff to publish a request for proposal for the use by mobile canteen operators of King Edward Park. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? There being none opposed, that motion's carried. There are no notices of motions or motions, and there's no unfinished business listed on this agenda, which brings us to bylaws. Our first bylaw is with regard to the host fee agreement for the Brighton landfill site. It's moved by Councillor Rowley, seconded by Councillor Wielden. The council gives a bylaw. It's first, second, and third reading and finally passes on this date. Being a bylaw to renew the host agreement for Brighton landfill site between the Corporation of the Municipality of Brighton and the Corporation of the County of Northumberland for a 5-year term commencing January 1st, 2022. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion's carried. Next bylaw is the canteen bylaw amendment. It's moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Butwell. The council gives a bylaw. It's first, second, and third reading and finally passes on this date. Being a bylaw to amend bylaw 028-2021, being a bylaw to license, regulate, and govern refreshment vehicles. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Being none opposed, that motion's carried. And our final bylaw is with regard to an encroachment agreement. It's moved by Councillor Butwell, seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson. The council gives a bylaw. It's first, second, and third reading and finally passes on this date. Being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and the clerk to execute an agreement between the Corporation of the Municipality of Brighton and William Arthur Gow regarding an encroachment onto the municipal road allowance. Is there any discussion? All in favor? There being none opposed, that motion's carried. That brings us to reports of advisory committees of council, reports and minutes and council reports. The first is with regard to the task force to commemorate the 1973 tornado. It's moved by Councillor Fredis, seconded by Councillor Wright. The council received the task force to commemorate the 1973 tornado, November 17th, 2022 and March 21st, 2023 meeting minutes as presented. Is there any discussion? All in favor? There being none opposed, that motion's carried. And the Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting minutes, it's moved by Councillor Wright, seconded by Councillor Fredis. The council received the Accessibility Advisory Committee September 9th, 2022 and December 9th, 2022 meeting minutes as presented. Is there any discussion? All in favor? There being none opposed, that motion's carried. Moving to reports, minutes of statutory committees, boards, and external agencies. The only one before us is the Lower Trent Conservation Authority, moved by Councillor Wright, seconded by Councillor Fredis. The council received the Lower Trent Conservation Authority minutes from the February 9th, 2023 meeting. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Being none opposed, that motion's carried. We move on to correspondence, direction items, endorsements, communications, and petitions. First comes from the Brian Todd Memorial Community Fund. It's moved by Councillor Wielden, seconded by Councillor Rowley. The council support the request from the Brian Todd Memorial Community Fund and the DBIA to continue with student artwork banner project and to permit municipal staff to help place the posters on poles in the downtown core. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Being none opposed, that motion's carried. A request from Skate Canada moved by Councillor Rowley, seconded by Councillor Wheeldon, that council support the request from Skate Canada to waive ice fees for the year-end carnival. Is there any discussion? Councillor Rowley.
Thank you, Mayor. Definitely supportive of this. Was wondering a few weeks ago, I believe that there was another skate club in Brighton who had their year end.
How was this one?
Oh, was that this one? Do we have two then, or do we just?
We just have the one now.
Okay, that's fine. Thank
Yeah,
you.
They came together finally after many, many years.
That's a good thing.
It is a good thing.
I just thought if there was two that we should offer to the other club as well.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Being none opposed, that motion's carried. And from the Durham region, with regard to TGV in the Quebec-Toronto corridor, it's moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Butwell, that council endorsed the region of Durham's pledge for consideration of a TGV system and for a stop in the Durham region. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? There being none opposed, that motion's carried. Next comes from Community Living, moved by Councillor Butwell, seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson, that council support the proclamation request from Community Living to proclaim May as Community Living Month. Is there any discussion? All in favor? There being none opposed, that motion's carried. That takes us to FYI correspondence. The only piece of correspondence here is with the Northumberland County update. It's moved by Councillor Ferretis, seconded by Councillor Wright. The council received the Northumberland County updates for March 6th to 31st, 2023. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Being none opposed, that motion's carried. And now we're at question period. Is there anyone in the gallery with a question that with regard to anything on tonight's agenda? And only staff on Zoom still, so thank you. And I'm going to say, let's take a 10-minute recess before we proceed into closed session.